Hey guys, it's Joe Edgerton from the Summit Church out here in Oak Ridge. Mr. Elkins asked me to share an influential teacher in my life. I wanted to talk about Mrs. Bruno. She was my second grade teacher, about 5 or 6 years ago. Just kidding you, way a long time ago. I just moved to a new school, and this lady just kind of took me under the wing, helped support an anxious little boy, and got me feeling at home with a bunch of new kids. And the impact she had on my life was so significant that I actually saw her 2 years ago at my niece's wedding. And mind you, this is almost 40 years later, probably 45 years later actually. And she remembered just the same as that first day that we met all those years ago. So you guys are having a significant impact on those lives, and I'm praying for a great year.
What makes a good teacher? A good teacher is listening when they need help.
So what makes a good teacher is they're nice and they help me with things that I ask for. And if someone's not being nice, just take care of the situation instead of making it a big thing. And teaching.
Hi, my name is Master Posey, and I'm here to talk about a teacher that influenced me in a great way. Her name was Miss Williams. She was my first grade teacher, and it's crazy that I remember her from this far back. But Miss Williams was very Old Testament. She was all about respect, right? And obviously, she focused on the right things to say. Whenever we said, yeah, it wasn't a good idea, we always were taught to respond by saying, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, please, no, thank you. And the best part about that, and the reason why it was so impactful at that time, was because at that age of first grade, I was such an impressionable child. A lot of kids around that age are very impressionable. You can start habits, and the habits start at that age for them to either have a good habit or a bad habit. And the best thing about it was she did not let anybody push the buttons. Whenever the buttons were pushed, she quickly corrected it in a firm way, but in a nice way. But then at the same time, she told us why we needed to be corrected and what was the best way to do it. So Ms. Williams was a great teacher of mine. She reinforced, because my parents were teaching me the respect, but it was always good to hear it from somebody else. And nowadays there's a lot of things that are happening, and kids need to hear it more than one time for a child, or in order for it to register, right? So for us, it was more or less like my parents told me this, we didn't believe them, but then when we heard somebody that was in charge of us at that point in time, a teacher, then it kind of resonated a little bit more, and then we were able to build that habit a lot quicker. That was Miss Williams, first grade teacher. Respect.
I think a good teacher is a teacher that makes things fun for the students.
My name's Marissa Height, and when I think of a teacher who was impactful in my life, I go back to third grade and Abby Morton. One of the things I love about Miss Morton is that she was very caring and compassionate, and she really went above and beyond to make sure that her students' needs were addressed, but that no student was ever made to feel stupid or inferior. Growing up, I was quite a talker, and sometimes that could be disruptive in class, but she never made me feel bad for it. She never made me feel dumb, but she did make it a point to correct the behavior without making me feel worse for it. She always did a really great job at making her students feel like they were part of her family, and she would write individual notes to us on our birthdays and just really made it a point to get to know us and get to know what was going on in each of our lives throughout the year. She's still a friend of mine to this day, and I just really, when I think back on teachers that made a real difference in my life, that's who I think of.
My teacher helps me fill my water bottle, help me tie my shoe, help me do my hair, and help me do tic-tac-toe, and they help me I draw them a heart, and I love them, and they make a good teacher because they're the nicest teacher ever.
So Mr. Elkins asked me to record a video about some teachers who had an impact on my life, and when he asked me, two really came to mind. The first one was my first grade teacher, Miss Miller, who was at Mitchell L. Black Elementary School in Brooksville, Florida, and I remember specifically that she was like the first adult who listened to me when I talk, and she listened to me in a way that nobody else really had in my life up to that point. She listened with her eyes, which is a really big thing. She listened in a way that I felt seen, and it made me love her. And my second one was Dr. Mark Boren at University of North Carolina at Wilmington. He was the teacher who kind of made it obvious what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I went to college as a chemistry major, and I walked into my first chemistry class and realized I don't know anything about chemistry. And I walked into English 229, which is literary theory and criticism, with Dr. Boren, and he made it magical in a way that I didn't know I could feel about something. So those two teachers had the biggest impact on my life in a way that, as a teacher now, I try to pass on to my students. So
what makes a good teacher is someone who interacts with their kids, chill and nice, and that helps everybody.
Hey Parker, what makes a good teacher?
Teachers help you get smarter, and teachers are kind, and God made teachers.
So my most impactful teacher was my 5th grade teacher, Miss Frank. I have loved sports, everything about sports, since I was a little kid. And Miss Frank, as a 5th grade teacher, was the first one that I can ever remember really taking an interest into the things that I loved. She would talk sports with me, how I did in Little League and everything. I came to find out that her cousin was Hall of Fame baseball manager Bruce Bochy. He was when I had her as a teacher, he was the manager of the San Diego Padres. And one of my favorite players was Tony Gwynn. Had a Tony Gwynn baseball card. She got that card signed for me, and got pictures with him for me and everything. I still have that card today. It's at my parents' house. And that just meant so much to me. She just was able to connect with me all the way to when I was a first-year teacher as a basketball coach at Southeast Middle School. And I went to Jefferson for a basketball game, and she was working the shot clock there in the scoreboard. And I walked in, and she still remembered me to that day. It was kind of a surreal moment. Miss Frank is amazing. I love her, and I'll always know the kind of impact she had on me. So you've heard a lot of great stories, and you've heard a lot of really cute kids talk about what makes a great teacher. So I want you to think, what's your impact going to be this school year? What kind of stories are you going to leave, and what kind of memories are you going to leave with your kiddos this year? So I just want you to know how powerful your influence is on them, how much I love y'all, and how thankful I am to work with y'all every day, and the impact, the positive impact we can have, because it's in our control, whether it's going to be positive or whether it's going to be negative. So I look forward to an awesome year with y'all as we impact all the Piney Grove Pandas this school year.